Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have an opportunity to help a viewer, Randy. Randy sent this reel in. He says he's having a problem. It doesn't connect. So we've got the, regardless of whether you're in gear or out of gear in terms of the free spooling, everything seems to work. But for some reason, it's just not engaging in the gearing with the drags. It's knocked right down all the way. So we're going to take this reel apart. The initial thought before I even get inside the reel is that the pinion gear is not engaging with the spool. So you either have a broken piece on the spool or maybe a broken collector with the pinion gear. Something is not right. We're going to find out why this reel has failed. Let's see if we can't correct it for Randy. We're going to start by removing the exterior pieces. Randy said he's had this reel apart and back together several times and just hasn't had any luck with it. It's been cleaned, I guess, and we'll see. We'll start by taking off the little collar that's holding the handle nut on, and then we can use a 10mm wrench to take the cap off. And then Randy had mentioned that he has lost the clip. Little C-clip that seems to get lost an awful lot, lost or bent or what have you. But overall, we can replace that. And but that's not the cause of this issue here. That does hold the gear shaft on, but the gear shaft right now to me is not the issue with not engaging. So we'll walk the star adjuster back. We'll be able to see what's going on inside, what he's done here. Now this is always an interesting one when you're trying to solve for what problems are with the reel. A good place to start is with the schematic, particularly if you've have somebody who's had the reel apart a couple of times. It may be that the reel is not put back correctly, or there may be a damaged piece in part, and that schematic is going to help you to identify that. While I'm removing the 3 screws that hold the side case on, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like fishing reel service and repair. If you'd like to learn a little bit about how the reels are made, who made them, and the purpose of those reels, and I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel. The whole idea behind Second Chance is to teach you how to keep your reels serviced and give them a second chance. Alright, well, we've taken off the 3. That will help us remove the side plate. And the first thing I'm checking here is for the assembly here. This is going to be where your pinion gear is going to grab. There's 2 brakes here loose. Your pinion gear is going to catch these 2 little tips in here. That's going to enable it to turn the spool. So let's put that in, turn the spool, make sure all of that is good. We can remove the spool. If you're servicing this reel, the back end of the spool comes out so that you can oil the bearing and make sure that that stays clean. Next up, we'll take that spool axle off. The axle came out because this little clip holds that axle into the main bearing. We can install that back into the spool, and that's why I wanted to check on this. I want to make sure that the axle shaft is going to line up with those 2 slots in that carrier so that the pinion gear can grab it. Alright, let's go over to the other side of this reel now. There's 2 tension washers. These come on with they come out with the removal of that star adjuster. I'm just going to put them right back in there. And when I pull all those pieces and parts off, they go back into a parts tray, and that way I can keep track of them. Let's go take a look underneath, see what's going on here. I remove the 2 side plate screws. They keep the side plate attached to the bridge. Then we can remove the side plate. And we can see right away what the issue is here with the reel. So Randy, you've put the compression spring on inside out. Well, that would be a general cause for this. Just generally noticing the reel. This spring assembly here belongs on the top of the yoke, not the bottom. We'll pull that off to give you a better look. We're going to remove the yoke assembly. We're going to remove our spring assembly. With that come the other pieces, so I might as well take it right down and show you how to build the bridge up. Okay, so the purpose of this spring mechanism is to put tension on the yoke to hold the yoke into the spool assembly. Well, if you put it on underneath, you can't get there with that. Let's, for those of us that may or may not have this open, let's go ahead and show you how that goes on. First up is the trip assembly here. That goes on to, the jack goes on next. I guess that goes on the bottom, my bad. The depression lever goes on first. Then the jack goes on. Put a little grease on this. Randy's done a good job of cleaning all of this up and servicing it. He's had it apart a lot of times. And I guess this is where the advice that I give about taking pictures at critical junctions help. If you had that picture, you would know before you took it off how that spring assembly went. All right, there's two sides of this spring assembly and yoke assembly. The yoke assembly has an angle on the one corner of it. Those face in, as do the teeth or the slots in that pinion gear. Go ahead and put that back on. This is the all-important one. This was put underneath. It needs to be put on top. And hopefully we didn't have anything break while that was in the wrong position. So that is the correct install for this. That will put pressure down on the yoke and enable it to grab the spool. Again, he's done a good job of cleaning all of this up. Had it apart multiple times. We'll just put a little bit more grease onto the main gear. And then I'm going to stop for a moment, go get an E-clip that's going to hold this onto the shaft. And then we'll give it a test. Okay, I went to my parts box and I got the E-clip that's missing. Got a replacement. So let's put it back together again. We did have the brakes that I took off of the reel. They were floating around inside. Let's go put those back on. Those are going to work inside the ring. And with centrifugal force, they will come out and rub and stop the spool spinning fast. There are two sides to those brakes. One has a slot in it. The slot belongs facing inward. Okay, we can leave that to the side for a moment. Next up, we can put our cover back on. And we have that little shoulder piece or spacer for that anti-reverse clutch, so that can go back on as well. We can take our plate, put that over. Two things to do: align those holes and also make sure that the pressure lever is in the slot in the side case. And take the two screws, put those back on. One on each side. So we'll call this failure operator error as opposed to a mechanical failure. Of course, that's assuming that this works again once we put it back together. I see no reason why it shouldn't. Okay, one on each side here. These are curved tension washers. I put the first curve up and the second one down. And we can put our star adjuster on. Take your time with these. You don't want to cross strip the post. You may be wondering why I haven't put that E-clip on yet. A lot of these reels, that E-clip will not clear the handle. Take your time with this. You got to get it set right. It's easy enough to get set wrong. And if you get it set wrong, you're going to strip the threads on. Okay, got that. I probably should have put this in ahead of time. We have the little catch for the axle shaft that goes inside the cap. And the cap goes on to set that. Just a little shot of grease onto the tips and the shafts. Put that in. And we can mount our side plate. When you merge the case, make sure that it's nice and tight all the way around. And then you can start snugging down the screws by hand. And then that last turn you can take with the screwdriver just to make sure it's on good. And mechanically correct. Now we should have a reel that's turning. Before we do that, let's put the tension washer back on. We can put the handle on. Now we can put that E-clip on. Sometimes you can get these on by finger pressure. Sometimes you're going to need an assist from the pliers. Lately it seems like I've been needing an assist from the pliers. But just take your time with them. Nope, got it on by hand this time. That's the way the E-clip should be. Take that cap and put that over. Make sure that you thread the cap properly. Tighten down your drag. Tighten down your cap washer. If you have these shoulders perpendicular to the holes, they generally line up. Let's see if we can't put that cover on there. Looks like we need a little bit more return. Let's turn this over. See if that may line it up. Nope. All right, let's just get that set in on the screw, and then just a partial turn now. With the cap aligned, go to your parts tray and get those two pieces out. Let's tighten those down. And then we can give it a test, see how we did with the proper alignment of that spring. Okay, let's give it a test then. We think we've got it all right. We noticed a mechanical failure with the reinstallation of the pieces and parts. We took it apart, we did a general examination, made sure all the parts were good, reinstalled that yoke spring the right way, on top rather than underneath. And well, now it's time for the final test. Let's put it in free spool, make sure that the spool is turning. It's kind of hard to see because it's the same color as the case. So look at the line guide. The line guide is moving, so that's good. Make sure when we trip this, that it trips back, and more importantly, does it drive the spool? Well, it does, of course. So I hope you've enjoyed that. To our first responders and essential personnel, thanks for watching. I appreciate that and appreciate everything you do on a day-to-day basis. And for everyone, well, this is lessons learned. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid that you're going to do something that's going to ruin a reel. This one isn't ruined. And, well, sometimes our failures are the lessons that we learned. So now we know how to put that spring back on. We won't make that mistake twice. Works nice and smooth. Okay. If you've enjoyed this, please like it. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Everybody have a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.